Hi everyone, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to continue working with outer space themes and we're going to make a rocket ship. What you'll be needing today is a white piece of paper. There should be one in your art folder labeled Line Rocket that you can use. You're also going to need a pencil, something permanent to trace with, so you can use a Sharpie, you can use any kind of pen, or even a colored pencil, or you can use a crayon. I have an eraser, and then I also have our rocket ship ideas paper, which is posted on my Canvas page. Today we're going to be creating our own rocket ship using shapes and lines. You guys got to hear the story Roaring Rockets, so you got to see all the different components of a rocket ship and see what they need to get from Earth up into space. So I have a paper here that has all different kinds of rockets if you need any help coming up with ideas on what to draw. So there's all different rocket ship styles with all different details here that you can use, or you can come up with your own drawing based on our book, or you can come up with your own out of your imagination. Your picture does not have to look like one of my pictures on our sheet, and it does not have to look like what I'm drawing. You can draw your own rocket ship however you would like. I think I'm going to pick one off of my ideas sheet here, and I think I'm going to pick this big one that I have on the left. But like I said, you can draw your own rocket. It doesn't have to look like one on the paper or from our book. Our rocket is going to be the focus of our artwork, so we're going to put it nice and big in the middle of our paper. You can decide what direction you want your rocket to look like it's shooting up into the sky. I think I'm going to put mine on a little bit of an angle, so it's a little diagonal on my paper instead of just going straight up and down, but you can choose. Maybe you want yours shooting down, up, left, right, wherever you want to put it is fine. So I'm going to draw this big one that I have here. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at that overall shape that I see on my paper, and it looks like it is flat along the bottom. So I'm going to start at the bottom, drawing a big flat line. And now we're going to draw different kinds of lines shooting out from the bottom of our rocket. So you want to leave a nice amount of space underneath your rocket to add all of the brightly colored flames coming out to show it shooting into space. And now I can see the shape of my rocket is a big curve. So I'm going to draw that going up from my straight line out towards the corner of my paper. Now that I got the basic shape, I can add some of those bigger details. I see some big triangle shapes coming out off of the sides. So I can do a slanted line and then close it off to make a triangle, and I can do that on both sides. So for whatever you're drawing, look to see what kind of shapes and lines you can recognize and draw those first to help you get all of those little details. I see some big rectangle shapes off on the sides here, so I can add those as well. And then I see some pointy shapes coming out off the bottom, so I do two little diagonal lines going out and then connect them. And then I can do it again in a smaller shape, two diagonal lines going out and then connect them. And that's where all of my lines are going to come out, show that my rocket is shooting up into space. Now, the next thing I can do now is add some of my bigger details. So I have that big oval in the center for the window. I have some curvy lines up at the top. Now, if you want to draw one of the shapes of a rocket and then decorate it differently, you can do that too. Maybe you want to add some flags on your spaceship to show what country it's coming from. Maybe you want to decorate it with some of your favorite things. It's totally up to you. All right, I see that same bottom shape coming out off of the side. So I can make that shape again there. And then I have some pointy lines and some other decoration lines. All right, and that looks good. I think I got all my details on there that I wanted. Now we have a nice big window here at the center of our rocket ship, and if you draw a nice window on any of yours, whatever yours might look like, you can draw yourself in there if you'd like, in your little space suit. I think I'm going to draw an astronaut inside my rocket by just doing a big circle, two curvy lines to show a body. I'm going to do a smile-shaped curve, and then a frown curve on the top to make like a half circle. That will be our spaceman's helmet, and then some little decoration lines on there and some other little details on our spacesuit. And then I can give my astronaut a little spaceman outfit. I'm gonna draw a little American flag on there, give his spacesuit some buttons. There we go. Maybe you want an alien in your spaceship. You can draw really whatever you'd like through your window. Now that my rocket is done, I'm going to make some lines coming out the bottom to show that it's shooting up into space. And now instead of drawing flames and fire coming out of a rocket, we're going to practice drawing different kinds of lines. So I want you to take a second and think about all the different kinds of lines you know how to draw. And we're going to draw those coming from our rocket. I'm going to turn my paper so then it's going to be a little easier for me to get them on the same diagonal that I drew my rocket on. And I'm going to start to think about all the different lines I know. Now the first line I know how to draw is a straight line. That one's super easy. So from that bottom portion of my rocket, I'm just going to draw a nice big straight line shooting out and down towards the bottom of my page. Now let's see what other kinds of lines can we draw. I can draw a wavy line. Now our wavy line is going to curve up and down like the waves of the ocean. I can also draw a zigzag line. Now a zigzag line is like our wavy line, except it makes points going up and down. So I'm going to do a nice big zigzag line coming out. I can also draw a dashed line, which is like our straight line, except it is broken. So it's going to have some gaps in between. So I draw, lift up my pencil, press it back down, lift it up, back down, all the way across. Maybe you even want a looping line that curves and loops on top of itself, almost like a bunch of the letter E that's drawn lowercase. Let's see, can you think of any other lines you know how to draw? I think I can draw a castle line in here. So that one is going to be straight. It's going to go out, back down, back in, straight, up, down, back, making the shape of like the top of a castle. So I'm kind of drawing like little rectangles almost. There we go. I think that's as many lines as I can fit. If you can think of any other lines, or if you can fit more lines, you can draw the same lines over and over again to fill in the space to show where your rocket is shooting out from. But I was only able to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, and I think that's okay. So see how many you can fit and see if you can come up with different kinds of lines than I drew. Now that my rocket and the lines shooting out of it are finished, I can draw the background. Now you can decide, is your rocket shooting up from Earth into space? Is it already in space? Is it on the moon going back to Earth? It's totally up to you where you want to place your rocket and what you'd like to draw in the background. I think I want my rocket going through space. So I'm going to draw some planets in the background. I'm going to do some big circles. Now we learned about all of the different kinds of planets when we did our solar system project. So you can draw planets from our project, or you can come up with your own. It's up to you. So I think I'm going to have a couple different planets here. I'm going to give some rings around this one. I'm going to make this one look more like Earth by drawing some big blobs on it to resemble our continents. And I think I'm going to leave that one plain until I color it in. And I can also add some stars in the sky. And now if you want to draw a star, an easy way to do it is draw a straight line going down. And you're going to make another one coming from the top. It's going to look almost like a triangle. Now from the bottom, I'm going to go out towards the side, cross over, and then back down to meet that other point. And once you're done, you can erase what's left on the inside there, and you're left with a nice big star. It can get a little tricky. You can also make stars by just drawing some straight lines and crossing them over if you want some tinier stars that you don't have to color in. It's up to you. Maybe you want to add some other smaller spaceships in your sky. Maybe there's a bunch of different astronauts and they're racing their spaceships. You can draw that as well. It's totally up to you. All right, I think that looks good for now. I want to add some extra stars later on with some of my crayons before I start to color, but I can do that once I am finished. Now that I finished sketching out my rocket and my background, I'm going to grab my permanent marker and start to trace. Now we're going to use a permanent marker to trace today because next week we're going to be adding water to this, and we don't want what we've drawn here to get all mushed and blended together. So if you don't have a permanent marker, a crayon works great because our crayon will resist our water and it will stay in place. You can also use something like a colored pencil or a regular old pen, and that will work if you do not have a permanent marker. So I'm just going to take my marker and trace over all of my pencil lines so they will be easier to see. If you want to use all different colors to trace your picture, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to trace mine in black because that is the color marker I have today. Once I finished tracing my picture, I used my eraser to erase any pencil lines that I could still see. I'm going to stop here for this week, and next week we're going to add color. So once you're finished tracing your project, you can save it in your art folder until next time. Next week we're going to add some bright colors using some crayons, some washable markers, and maybe even some watercolors. Since we're going to finish our projects next week, you do not need to hand anything in today. Just make sure you save your project until we work on it next time. I hope you have fun coming up with your own rocket ship design and practicing drawing all of your different kinds of lines. Try your best, have fun, and get creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye!